I always longed to be a mother. There was no feeling quite like seeing that second faded line on the pregnancy test. I loved being pregnant. I embraced the joys of nesting, preparing our home, and my spirit for welcoming our son into the world. Meeting him earthside was inexplicably the most awe-inspiring moment of my life, such a vivid depiction of God's miraculous nature. The last 7 months have shaped me more than the 25 years I've lived without him. While this video is meant to share things I wish I knew before having my son, I believe you will never know until you know. The joy of watching your child grow, the life they add to your home, and the resilience you'll dig up within yourself. That this will be the most beautiful time, but also the hardest time of your life. That you'll never be the same, but you wouldn't want it any other way. I have always liked being really prepared. In school, I was the kid who would study a lot. I would read all the books. I wouldn't say I had the most street smart common sense, but I would consider myself pretty book smart. I think in a lot of ways, I kind of treated having a baby the same. You know, when I was pregnant, I did all the classes, I read so many books, and I just thought, I got this, I'm gonna figure it out. Having a baby is one of those things that you don't truly know until you know. And while I'm recording this video, sharing things that I wish I knew before having a baby, I think it's important to start off by saying, I don't think you can really know everything before having a baby. No matter if you've nannied a lot, if you have siblings with kids, it is just so different having your own life that you are responsible for, that you are shaping to grow up into this well-rounded human being who can flourish in the world. But there are a few things I liked that I read up on. I think breastfeeding is a huge thing that I know, at least for me, I took a class, I met with a lactation consultant, did all that, but it was tough. And I've shared a lot of that journey before, and for a lot of people, it is so seamless and so easy breezy, especially those first few months for some people. Now, when I have a friend who's breastfeeding or someone who is going through this journey, I just give them so much solidarity, and they are really so strong and powerful to me because wow, it is not super easy for everyone. And it's one of those things that's really, really tricky to learn when you're also just not sleeping a lot in the beginning. And so I think it's so helpful to take a class and read up, get some tips, because it can be really helpful. I think CPR is another thing. We did do that and I was really thankful for that. But even now that we're starting solids, I feel like I need to brush up on that a little bit because that's another thing that's can be really scary. I also took birth class and I did like that I did that. I thought that that was super helpful. And on that note, birth is incredible. The way I am so excited to give birth again one day. I know everyone has a different experience, and I know some people have trauma from their birth, and this isn't necessarily a beautiful day to think about for everyone, but for me, never have I witnessed God's just miraculous nature so evidently in my life, seeing this child who I carried in my womb for so long and felt so connected to, but I never actually had seen before, to birth him and to really see my body go through all of those changes throughout labor and figure out the best way to navigate him through to get him into the world. I know that this is an area that a lot of people are scared about. Again, maybe because of a past experience, maybe because of what you saw your friend go through. Maybe you're someone who just has a low pain tolerance and you're thinking that you're not sure how you're going to do it. It is so empowering. And I just want to encourage you that if you are in those final weeks and you're nervous about giving birth, to not be scared, to just embrace it, to trust your body, that your body knows what it needs to do. That moment of meeting my child, of having him on my chest, that was something I dreamt about when I was pregnant. I do remember feeling a lot of those birth pains going through that, but I can't actually tell you what they felt like because your body kind of forgets that part. Everything really goes by so quickly. People would always tell me this, and I think that it's a blessing and a curse for the moments that are really difficult. It's encouraging to know that you're gonna get through it pretty quickly, because although it may seem long, especially the nights, especially early on, you blink and suddenly your child is sitting up by himself, pulling toys out of a basket, playing by himself. Each month I keep saying, this is my favorite age, this is my favorite age. And that really started for me around the 3-month mark, but now he is 7 months old and it is just so much fun seeing his personality come out. It's kind of like peeling an onion where you just get layer by layer by layer, seeing all these different parts of him come out, and just getting to be a part of that. Right now, I just feel so nostalgic for the present. It's that feeling of, you need to be savoring something because it's gonna go by fast. You're going to look back and be like, how did all this time go by? Feels like he's gonna be 18 years old before we know it. Oh, and you'll have stains on basically all your clothes. Change really is the only constant. I, before having a baby, was so routine oriented. I, wanted to accomplish everything on my to-do list, and that was kind of my measure of worth, my productivity, how much I got done. I know some babies are very schedule oriented and they are just more routine. I would say that most babies like to switch it up. You'll think that you have something figured out, and then the next day they are completely different. They are ever changing, and this is probably one of the biggest things that I have had to learn, is just to be more go with the flow. And I find that I'm so much of a better mom when I'm not trying to keep to this very strict schedule, routine, expecting my baby to be a certain way. Every day really is so different, and it does feel like, for the most part, I kind of have a different baby every day. I think that change can be really uncomfortable for a lot of people, myself included, trying to accept and embrace every day, knowing that it's not going to be the same. And again, that can be both a blessing and a curse. I have never been a very confrontational person, but there's something about being a mom that has just given me a newfound sense of confidence. You can't be passive when you're a mom. It's amazing the amount of situations, whether it's talking to doctors or just people out and about, having a child gives you such a protective sense over your baby. You don't let people walk all over you. And it's something that I'm really thankful for, because I was actually nervous about this, because I, again, just have always been more timid. I don't necessarily stand up for myself in certain situations, but when you have a baby, you just have this newfound sense of confidence in your abilities, confidence in your child, and confidence that you know what's right and you can stand up for what's right. I think I always saw my mom being this way, and I just thought, she was born that way, and to a certain extent, I'm sure that she was, but now I'm learning that just as you go through things as a mother, it makes you stronger, and it gives you a sense of confidence that I'm really thankful for. But also, that confidence takes a while to kick in. I know that a lot of people told me when I first had a baby that your maternal instincts are gonna kick in, you're gonna know exactly what to do. And if I'm being honest, I didn't necessarily feel that right away. Of course, I loved, cherished, and knew my baby to be my own. I felt so connected with him in the womb, and I felt connected to him in the sense when he was born that he was my child and I loved him. I was so in awe of him. But I think that the more I figured him out, when he started laughing, when he started smiling, when he started cooing, he could really communicate with me. I got to know him better. I knew him in a different sense. I knew him in the sense that he was becoming the child that he was meant to be, and I was figuring out his little personality, and it was easier to trust my instincts when I had that bond with him in a different way that sometimes can be hard to have right at the start when everything is so new, everything's so fresh, you're trying to figure everything out, there's so many changes. When I have just slowed down and gotten to know my baby and know that he loves playing with things that aren't actually toys, like this giant bucket of golf balls right now. So don't freak out if it takes some time. Don't freak out if you don't at the start know the instinct of, oh, that's a hungry cry, that's a tired cry. It takes time to kind of develop those skills for some people. Is that so much fun? Oh my goodness! And while I do think you will learn to understand all the different cries that your baby will do, sometimes your baby just cries. Sometimes that's their way of communicating with you. I think early on I was like so terrified if he would cry because I just wanted to fix everything right away. And of course that's made to bring about something inside of you as a parent to figure out what your baby needs. But a lot of times, especially when your baby's a newborn, sometimes they just cry and you can do everything that you possibly think of to comfort them and, go down the list of, are they hungry? Are they tired? Do they need a diaper change? Do they need a change in position? Do they have gas? All those things. My mom always told me she thought that I would cry when I was little because I was just so eager to talk. And then once I could talk, I was so much happier. Of course, if your baby is crying all the time, there could be some like health condition or something, maybe reflux. And honestly too, sometimes they just need a different person. Sometimes if I couldn't figure it out, something about Aiden could figure it out or vice versa. I think your baby can get used to you and just be comfortable around you too, and they feel, comfortable to cry with you. And so sometimes being with someone else is a good change of pace for them. Having a baby has just made me enjoy little things so much more. I think before I had my son, I don't know, I just needed a lot to be entertained. I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to be like doing something out of the house, and I don't know, just going about. And of course it's easy to get stir crazy, and you really can do so much of what you could do before with your baby, especially while they're young and just can sleep anywhere and sleep a lot all the time. But right now we are just sharing a bowl of watermelon together, and it's so much fun. It's just fun doing simple things together. I don't really need any giant thrills like I used to. And just seeing how much he's invested in doing such simple things and seeing his curiosity and joy towards those things, it's really inspiring for me as well to live my life in that same manner and to have that childlike sense of curiosity about the world. Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of play the narrative that your life is over when you have kids, or you need to do all these things before you have kids. And of course everyone's different with that. I think a lot of people do have a bucket list they want to do before they have children. I don't think it's something to do lightly, but just know that it's really fun. It's so much fun, and it has added so much joy to my life. But a practical tip, if your baby is crying, you can't figure out why, try the outdoors or try putting them in water. We're taking a bath right now, not because he's unhappy, it's because we got a little sticky after our lunch today. But he is seriously, goodness. He is so happy in the water. He is so happy outside. Sometimes they get just a little bit cooped up being inside all the time, and those are two things that can help tremendously. It's crazy how much you will focus on sleep, how much your baby is sleeping, how much your baby is not sleeping. They only want to sleep on you. They only want to sleep in your bed. So many different things, and I wish I did not hyperfixate on sleep. I wish I wasn't obsessive about sleep. I wish I wasn't tracking it all the time. That works for a lot of people, so not saying that you shouldn't try that. All babies are just going to sleep differently, and I can honestly say most people who are giving advice are also trying to make money. Baby sleep industry is huge. They make so much money. I've spent so much money on different sleep sacks, different programs, trying different things, and now we just do whatever works. I wish I wouldn't stress so much about him, you know, sleeping in the crib, trying to figure out how to get him to sleep longer, how to get him on a schedule when he's so little. Those things can happen over time, and your baby is going to sleep differently than your friend's baby, and that's okay. A lot of the sleep behavior that your baby has is there for a reason, and it's normal and it's developmental, and you're not doing anything wrong. And it's crazy how you just kind of get used to it. I mean, before, I was never someone who needed a crazy amount of sleep, but I like to get at least 6-7 hours straight. But wow, you learn really quick, especially when your baby's a newborn. You can survive off of little sleep. I know I don't necessarily look as rested as I used to, but I'm kind of used to it. And I think it's similar to birth too. When you know that you're going through that pain for a purpose, it just makes it easier. It's not like you're just staying up for no reason at all. You are waking up to comfort your baby, to feed your baby, and you'll just push through. I think it's amazing as parents, the resilience that you have to just do whatever you can to take care of your child. Even if you're scared right now, like, oh my goodness, I'm so used to having a lot of sleep, you will do great. Of course, there are a lot of things that you can do out there if you want to try to help your baby sleep a certain way, but don't feel pressured to do that, because I will say I'm so thankful to be home with my baby. I can't imagine going through that, you know, after a 3-month maternity leave and just running off of that little sleep, going in an office full time. I just think it's crazy how so many mothers have to do that. It makes me really sad, honestly, and I can't imagine how hard that is. I just think it's crazy. But that's a side note. Having support is so helpful. I know you probably have heard of the phrase, it takes a village. And while I think a village is extremely helpful, that's not to say that you can't do it by yourself. So many moms are single moms, their husbands are in the military, they are alone a lot of times, and they make it work. And honestly, I give them so much props because I can't imagine how hard that is. I will say my husband does work full time, but he's pretty flexible. He is very much a part of my son's life. He has just been such a great father and is very present. Even if that's hiring a babysitter, if you don't live by family or something, to have time to just get out and do something for you, even if it's just a couple of hours. I'll never forget the first time I went out just to Target by myself. It felt so weird at the start, and even now it does still feel so kind of naked when I do things like that, because I just bring my son along for so many of the things that we do together. That is a huge reason why I love what I do, because it's nice just having that creative outlet kind of outside of being a mom and having something that still exercises those muscles. It's so good for me, and I think that I'm a better mom when I do that. I'm in our home gym, and Aiden just set up a bunch of golf stuff, and he has like a sticky note over here that has a point point system. He's trying to get good at golf right now. I just think it's really cute. I never realized just how much I would have to use my body having a baby. Maybe this is just because I have a bigger baby. Bending down, standing up, entertaining your baby, especially if you have an energetic baby, it works your body. I imagine too, if you're breastfeeding, your back, oh my goodness. It is so important to keep up with your fitness and just be active as a parent, because for one, I want to be able to just play with him and run with him and keep up with him for as old as I get. Eventually when we have grandchildren, I just look at my mom. My mom is always moving with these grandkids. And I'm working out tonight. I don't necessarily want to. Today's been a long day and honestly just kind of an emotional day. I've been a little bit of, I have not really been feeling the greatest today. It's just been one of those days. And so this is gonna be so good for me. I remember one night going into our bedroom when I was going to sleep when Connor went down, because sleep was just always tricky for us. So I would always try to maximize the amount of sleep that I could get, and just wondering if our relationship with me and my husband would ever feel like it used to, that kind of carefree of, you know, everything not feeling so serious, and if we'd ever just get to watch a show at night together. I don't know, I had convinced myself that it would never feel that way again. And so I want to say, if you're going through those changes in your relationship, just know that so much of it is temporary. It's so normal to feel like roommates in the beginning when you're just trying to figure out how to take care of a little human. And honestly, I wish that I would have savored just having my son nap on us on the couch watching a TV show. We did do that. And so just take those moments where they come, and it's normal to bicker a little bit. I know you've probably seen a lot of those posts of like, I've never felt more in love with my husband or wife since, you know, seeing them love our baby. And while that is so true, like that is 100% true, it can also bring out a side that you maybe haven't seen before when you're both really tired, especially in the middle of the night. You can have some resentment. I know a lot of moms who are breastfeeding can feel this when it seems like their husband can't do anything, which, spoiler alert, there is a lot that they can do. And I can just say that the thing that was most helpful for us was just having clear kind of responsibilities of who was in charge of what. And just in general, I think within marriage, having clear communication is so helpful. It is so good for both of you just to be on the same page, especially with the baby. Aiden did a lot of our night feeds when our son was, you know, taking multiple bottles in the night, and that was so helpful. I would go to bed, he would do the first feeds, I would get a chunk of sleep, and just things like that I think are so helpful to do. You know, having him like take care of the house. He cooks more dinners than I do now still, and you know, we're 7 months in. He cooks more dinners now than I used to. That's an area that I used to wholeheartedly own because I love cooking, but realistically, even now, it's tough to do that all the time. And even before you have your baby, figuring this out beforehand, and try to go on dates. I know it's hard. I know that it's not reasonable to do it once a week for a lot of people, but you could do at-home date nights. But getting out, it can feel so weird at the start. I remember the first time we went out without our son, you have no idea what to talk about. You're likely still very tired, and I just didn't feel like myself, but slowly you kind of get back in the groove and feels good again. And lastly is just to find a source of your strength. I couldn't possibly share this video without talking about how my faith has been strengthened so much since becoming a mother. And I know not everyone's religious who watches my videos, but the way that I feel so much more deeply connected to God after becoming a parent, and just it makes me look up to God in a way of being my father in such a different way, kind of being in that role as a parent, and how much I love my child and how much I want to protect him. I want what's best for him. I want to keep him safe, and that God loves me more than that. Something that I think that I will never wrap my mind around, and even just walking through times that are difficult and not knowing what to do and feeling very confused. I always think about Proverbs 3:5 that says, you know, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and to acknowledge him in all ways and he will make your path straight.
Good if I take Cash for a little walk.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
I
I don't know
know.
how you do it.
I know.
Love you.
I love you.
Okay, take your AirPods.
Yeah, I think they're in the bathroom. Yeah. I slept in this morning while Aiden woke up with Connor. That's why he was saying that. And also just wanting to live my life in a way that my son looks up to me and looks at me being a human and realizing that, oh, this is how I'm to be a human, and seeing my relationship with God. And it can be really scary sometimes thinking about that. And of course, your child is still their own person. And to end off this video, I wanted to share kind of a rapid fire of some of the responses I got over on Instagram from you guys. Time literally flies by so fast. Every baby is so different. You can't compare your baby to every other baby. Breastfeeding is not always as easy as it seems. That having a baby would bring me so much daily joy. Family is truly what life is all about. Just because a baby product is expensive doesn't mean your baby is going to like it. Two things can be true at once: grief of the loss of the old, and also loving your new family. Quality time with your husband isn't gone forever. Your marriage just gets better. Your intuition is enough. It actually does get better. This won't last forever. Preparing to care for yourself recovering is as important as preparing to care for your baby. That sometimes it can be really lonely. That it's normal for babies to wake up often during the night. How much it helps your baby when you are chill. I stay flexible and so does he. I underestimated my value to my baby. No product can comfort her as well as her mom. Have all kinds of support set up beforehand. Therapist, lactation, house cleaning. I agree with this one. That cluster feeding would happen so soon after birth. Mine started night 2. Yeah, second night syndrome is totally a thing. There's no correct way to do most things, just what works best for you and your baby. Never say you won't do something as a mom until you become a mom. It's okay to feel jealous of your spouse's freedom. The insanely weird noises that newborns can make in their sleep. That doing whatever you can in every season is enough. I'm gonna leave it at that. Feel free to leave something that you wish you knew before down below. I'm so thankful to be a mom. You have such a wild, incredible ride ahead of you, and you are gonna do a great job.